How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. This has been a good morning so far, probably because I haven't actually done any work yet. I've just been having fun.
Nobody likes to work on Saturday anyway.
I've got to catch up from the week. It's my catch-up day.
Well, thanks for sitting down doing this. Like you said, I know you got stuff to do, but I appreciate you sitting down and doing it.
Very welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So, outside of vaping, what do you like to do? Got any other hobbies?
Hobbies? Not really. Mixing is my passion and my hobby, and it's really I don't have enough time to do it as much as I want. I don't have time to give it what I want to give it because I have to work and take care of a couple of kids. But I like to cook. I cook all the meals at my house. I have a couple little dogs that I take care of. I used to read a lot more than I do now, but I still enjoy a good book. I follow the news pretty closely, and that takes up some time. So that about covers it.
How long?
So like the occasional movie, some TV shows, but nothing really, no other real hobbies per se.
All right. Well, when you got vaping, a lot of people can't afford much else anyway because it's such a rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's that too. It's more of a time suck than a rabbit hole for me. Than a financial rabbit hole. I didn't spend too much money on it because I'm not a big gear person. As long as it works, I'm happy. And the flavors aren't that expensive. But man, the time, and I just wish I had more of it. Every hour, every day, I lay in bed at night and I think of all the things I failed to do that day. And there's always so many mixing related things on there. I'm just like, oh, I didn't get that mixed up. Oh, I haven't tried that yet. Oh, I need to re-wick that RDA so I can try that. Just didn't get done.
So how long did you smoke?
I smoked from age 15 off and on, mostly on, until 2014. So that would be about 20 years.
Wow.
And when I wasn't smoking, there were a few periods when I didn't use any kind of nicotine product, but I always backslid. And then there was a good number of years in there where I used smokeless tobacco to try to, at least I'm not smoking, but it's also pretty gross. So I needed to stop that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you discover vaping, or what led you to swap to that?
Well, I'd seen people vaping before, but I thought they looked kind of silly. I was like, get a real cigarette. What's wrong with you? and then I spent a weekend with a beautiful woman in a hotel where we didn't, it was one of those not leave the room kind of weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And she had brought with her, she was a dual user at the time, and she had brought with her a vape, a little pen vape, so that she could get her nicotine in the room and not have to get dressed and step out. And I said, hey, let me try that. And as soon as I did, I thought it was kind of weird at first, but I saw the potential there for not having to put your clothes on, and you could get some nicotine. So I did that weekend, but whenever she would actually go outside, we had to go get some meals and stuff, she'd smoke a cigarette and I'd bum one. Now, I had told her that I quit smoking, and she had expressed how proud she was of me of that. What I didn't tell her was that I had been using smokeless tobacco, and I had left that at home because who wants to make out with that, right?
Right.
So I had left that at home, and my plan was just to tough it out, I guess. I didn't really have a plan. And but so she loaned me these cigarettes, but the first one she gave me, she said, you have to promise me if I give you this, you're not going to start smoking again. So I promised her that, and we went our separate ways at the end of that weekend. And the first thing I did was, of course, go to a gas station and buy a pack of cigarettes. So I smoked that pack of cigarettes, and when it was gone, I realized that I had broken my promise. I felt terrible, and also that I really, really wanted another one. And I was like, I can't do this, I promised I wouldn't do it. It's bad for me. It's bad for my wallet. It's bad for my health. I got to do something. So, I thought about that little pin that she had brought, and I was like, well, it's better than smoking. So I went out and bought a Vision spinner. Remember those things?
Don't think I do.
A Vision spinner and a little tank. I don't even know what it was. It didn't take me long to graduate to a better one. But that and a little tank and some juice, and that was the last. I never picked up another cigarette after that.
So have you noticed any health benefits from vaping?
Yeah, especially at first. Within the first few months, I was like so much healthier. Now, lately, I've been lazy and not exercising and not, different, not taking good care of myself in other ways. But at first, the health benefits were enormous. After, it didn't take very long at all before I was breathing better, even than when I wasn't smoking. Even with the smokeless tobacco, the vaping is much better because that stuff made me get stomach aches all the time. My stomach aches went away. I was running all the time, so I could run further and faster, not get as winded. I was better in bed. so yeah, it was great.
We're already doing one thing healthier. Do we really got to exercise too?
Well, at the time I really enjoyed it. Now I'm having a hard time getting back in, but at the time I really enjoyed that endorphin rush.
What got you into DIYing then?
Same girl. She had recommended some juice that she bought, and it was this store, this chain. They actually have a little chain of vape shops, 3 or 4 of them, and they also do online sales. So I went online and I noticed that they had this create your own deal where it was like pick 2 flavors, primary flavor and secondary flavor, add sweetener or cooling or whatever, and you type in what you want or select from a drop-down menu, and then they'll mix it up and send it to you. And so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I did that. And of course, everything I selected was terrible. And it took forever to get to me, to the point where I actually emailed them. I was like, where's my stuff? And they sent me an email back that said their chemists were still working on it. And I was like, chemists, really? Come on. Chemists? I'm not. They just reeked of BS, right? They're chemists. And I had already been to vape shops and bought house juice where they mix it up right there behind the counter. So I totally call BS on that chemist. I'm like, you know what? If your chemist can do it, I bet I can too. And so I started searching around on the internet. It didn't take me long I was already familiar with Reddit. Not really a big user of it at that time, but I was familiar with it. So I stumbled across DIY juice subreddit and was like, wow, look at this. Look at all these people making their own juice. I read everything there was to read about it, decided it was something that I could do, and ordered my first supplies, and then was off to the races.
So how many concentrates do you have now, roughly?
Oh, Lordy. Well, to do roughly, I would go to all the flavors where I've got all my flavors and look and see what it says that I have. It says that I have 1,246 flavors, but I have this box here. It's filled with flavors and totally full with flavors, and I haven't tried them yet. And I don't put them in my inventory here on all the flavors until I've tried them. So I'm going to go with about 1,400. Sounds about right.
Okay, so
no one needs that many flavors, by the way. I've gone completely crazy here.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, somebody doesn't need that many flavors, but it's just fun, and you kind of buy flavors, and then you end up with that many.
Yeah.
Now
I want to try them all.
Now, I would say that you're in a unique predicament, you and 3 or 4 other people, because you're on a show called Noted. And that's what you all do, is you test flavors and tell people about them. And so it feels kind of silly to ask you if you single flavor test flavors anymore, because I know you do. So
I know you ask all your people that.
Yeah, yeah. So outside of stuff for noted, do you test some? Don't test any? You're probably tired of testing single flavors.
Two things. One, I don't test them as thoroughly as I used to, and I recommend that people still do that. A lot of the flavors that I have tried, I tried them at 1%, at one steep time, and I just sampled them, and then I moved on to the next one because that's what I had time to do. Ideally, you get a new flavor in, you mix it up at like 3 or 4 different concentrations, or at least 2. You try it fresh, you steep it for a week, you try it again, you steep it for another week, you try it again, you mix it with some of your favorite flavors that you're familiar with, you try it then. Then only then do you make like good solid notes or decisions about that flavor. I don't always have time for that anymore. And it's all because of the noted thing. I'm going through too many a week, too many new flavors. But so I don't do that anymore. What was the other thing I was going to tell you? Don't test them as thoroughly, and don't test as many for my own purposes anymore, because I'm so busy testing all those flavors that I don't have time to like order stuff just for fun and try it just for that. If it's not that flavor for that week, I don't have time for that. It's too much. But occasionally I will if I get real excited about something.
So regarding your flavor notes, at this point, I'm sure you like write those down. You put them in a computer or something.
Yeah, I sure do. I would have to. I can't even remember what I own, much less what everything tastes like. But it's funny because my notes are usually just like a few words. And as soon as I look at the flavor and see the few words that I wrote, I can taste it in my head. I'm like, oh, I own that. And that's what that tastes like. And I remember it now. You know, I need a little jolt of help. My memory's not that. And I'm 40 years old. And I'm feeling it memory-wise. It's not as good as it used to be. I'll walk into a room and be like, why am I in this room? What was my purpose for coming in here? So, yeah, I got to keep some kind of notes.
Yeah, I've been working on a video for single flavor testing for probably 3 or 4 months off and on. And that's one point, and I'm glad that you said it, is I try to tell people there's really not a wrong way to take. Like, you can't write down too much or too little information about a flavor, as long as when you read it, you know exactly what you meant.
Yeah, totally agree.
So it's all about keywords, you know, like armpits and the whole garden and things like that you are known for.
Butthole melon.
Yeah. Where do you get your colorful descriptors?
They just come to me. I try to imagine what that thing tastes like and what kind of imagination, what I would have to. I try to imagine what it would take to get to that flavor. Like, there's something wrong with this flavor. What is wrong? What picture does it paint in my mind? I see things in my head with flavors. So, and sometimes that gets pretty elaborate because there's a lot going on with some of these flavors. But and sometimes it's fairly simple. But yeah, it's pretty much the flavor makes a picture in my head. And so I try to describe that picture to you.
Do you have a favorite concentrate right now?
Do I have a favorite concentrate? That will change on a weekly basis pretty much, because there's always something that I'm just like enamored with right now. At the moment, if you ask me that, I'm going to say it's Flavor Mango, because someone asked me to write something called a Mango Mega Review and post it up on the Reddit. And I just basically described all the mango flavors I've ever tried before. And it reminded me of how much that flavor was like life-changing. So right now, that's my favorite. Plus, I'm vaping something with some in it right now. But it changes. One of the ones that I really go back to a lot is Flavor's Pink Guava. You can imagine that testing all those flavors for noted gets exhausting. And sometimes if I'm working on a recipe and I've gone off the deep end where I'm making like 6 different versions with slight variations and trying to tell them apart, even it starts to get muddled, and I just am lost and don't know what I'm doing, and I'm overcomplicating things and all that stuff. I need to hit the reset button. And then I'll just mix up from some pink guava and just vape that for a day or so. And that'll be my reset button. Call it taking a pink guavacation.
Can you compare the Flavora mango with, say, Wonder Flavors Island mango?
Yeah, I think that the Wonder Flavors Island mango tastes good, but I think it's missing some of the stuff that I look for in a mango. I think that Flavora mango is maybe it's got all of the components that I want, but they're maybe not in the best balance. So there's some adjustments there to be made, but the Island mango isn't funky enough, which is surprising to me because they have some flavors that are truly funky. Right. They do that tropical funk really well, sometimes in my opinion too well, and for some reason the mango just isn't hitting it for me. I think it might taste good in like a fruit mix where you got several tropical flavors and one of them has got that tropical sort of musk, like I call it jungle musk sometimes because it's what it tastes like. It came from a tropical jungle. If another flavor is providing that in like a tropical blend, the Island mango might be really good to use. So it's just kind of missing that. It's a little on the thin side. Flavora is also on the thin side, but it's got enough of that funkiness. I like that neither of them have the sort of pine flavor that you get from mango. Neither of them have that turned up too high, and they both have it present. Because if it's missing, you're basically just vaping a peach flavor or like a nectarine. And if it's turned up too high, it's like you forgot to peel the mango. So they both do that really well. And I just like Flavora is a little bit funkier. And it also, I haven't used the Island mango enough to know how it behaves in a mix, but I know what Flavora mango is going to do. It's fairly predictable for me. So that's good. I like the way it just sits on top. I don't know and I know how to pull it down too if I need to. And I'm not sure what the Island mango will do in a mix because I haven't played with it that much. But it's definitely not as funky as I would like it to be, or as in your face, kind of dominant.
Right.
If you put 1% Flavora mango in something, you're going to know that there's Flavora mango in there.
Right.
It's not going anywhere. If you put, say, what's a good percentage of Island mango, like 2.5%, 3%, tastes pretty full flavored by itself. I could see that getting lost in a mix fairly easily.
Okay. Yeah. I mixed it on last week's show with Pippa with some, we were doing lemonade. So I did just a Loran's lemonade, like at 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5 or 5. And that Island mango at it's either 3 or 3.5. And,
did it show up good?
Not really. And
yeah.
I kept waiting for that lemonade to fade, hoping that the mango would then pop out. But right now, it's just all blending together. It just tastes like a lemonade, even a week and a half later.
Yeah, that sounds about what I expected because the Flavora, I mean, that particular Island mango seems like it would hide, and that lemonade is probably not going anywhere. If you had another lemon to back it up, and that lemon that you used to back it up might fade, especially if it was like lemon Sicily or something.
That's what I put in. It was a little lemon Sicily.
The lemon Sicily might die down eventually and leave room for the mango. The Loran's lemonade probably ain't going anywhere.
Where do you get your inspiration for your recipes at?
Ooh, food and beverage, and memories, and sometimes, not very often these days, mostly because I'm trying so many flavors all the time. But when I would go through the flavors slowly and more in depth, they would almost always give me ideas based on something that I'd tried before. It's almost like they ask to be made into that, or they ask to be mixed with that and to see what will happen. And so the flavors themselves provide a lot of inspiration, and the rest comes from food, beverage, memories.
That's the other thing that I talk about in this video I've been working on. When I get stuck, I go back to single flavor testing. And like you're saying, inevitably I run across 2 or 3 flavors that I think, hey, they might go good together, and it gives me a place to start.
I get stuck on a mix. Like this mix is not good enough and I don't know how to fix it. So now I'm that kind of stuck.
Right.
But as far as like having stuck on looking for ideas, oh my God, I've got a list. I've got a list. I've got 2 lists. One is a 2 mix list of other people's recipes that I want to mix. It's a mile long and I feel terrible because I've told people I would try their stuff and just haven't gotten around to it. And the other one is a list of ideas that I've had that I want to make someday. And that one is also a mile long. And I also feel bad because I haven't given it any attention lately. And so, yeah, if anybody's hurting for ideas, feel free. I've got plenty.
Is there a favorite recipe of yours that you keep going back to?
Of my own, there is really not one that I keep going back to on a regular basis because I'm usually just moving forward, you know. I'm working on developing something. I've got flavors to test. I want to improve this thing that I'm working on. And going backwards is not something I really have time for. There are recipes that I miss more than others. So there's that. There's like, I should make some of that. That'd be good. The one that I probably miss the most is called Mango Blossom Macaroon. And that is the one recipe that I don't even need to vape it. I could just drink it. And in fact, when I had my wisdom teeth out, I did drink it for a while.
Right.
For a couple of days until I could vape again, or until I decided that I was going to vape again, whether I was supposed to or not. I drank this stuff and I gladly would again. So that's the one of my recipes that I miss the most.
I'm assuming you're the same way with other people's stuff.
Other people's stuff, yeah, I'll mix it once. There's some that really stand out in my mind, like that I want to vape again. But if I sit down to mix, I'm like, I can mix the next version of this thing I'm working on and make progress, or I can just mix so-and-so's recipe of whatever that I really enjoyed and not make any progress forward. And so I don't usually choose somebody else's recipe. But again, there are other people's recipes that I do miss more than others, and some that I call them temptations. Fear's cardinal. I'm sure you're familiar with that recipe.
I am.
It's pretty hard for me to sometimes, if I sit down and think about it, I'm like, I don't have to mix this up. I could just mix cardinal and I would be happy. Why don't I do that? You know, like a lazy. I feel like that's a lazy way out. But yeah, that's one. There are others. There's one. Verve has a recipe called vanilla almond milk, and that recipe is like, it's like calming to me. It's so spot on, but it's like there's plenty of flavor there, and yet at the same time it's gentle, and it's just like vaping that is like since I can't meditate because my mind's too busy or I haven't learned, that's my calms juice. And if I feel like I'm gonna need it, I'll make some more. It's been a long time and I miss it, but if I feel like I'm about to be headed into a real stressful period, maybe I'm going somewhere that's stressful, I'll probably make some of that up and take it with me. There are a few other recipes like that where I'm like, if I'm in a situation where I'm about to go somewhere and not be able to mix for a while and I need some juice to go, I know what I'll take with me. Depends on where I'm going.
Right.
But if I had to go plan my parents' funeral or something crazy like that, I'd take some vanilla almond milk with me.
Is there a flavor that we're missing that you just wish somebody would come on and make?
A flavor that we're missing? No, because I just want to play with the flavors that are there. I wish that Flavora had a leathery tobacco.
A leathery tobacco?
Yes, they have no tobaccos that have a nice leathery note. I haven't actually tried it yet. I've got this super concentrate tobacco. It's promising. It smells promising. I've got it mixed up, and I just haven't had a chance to test it yet, which is on my list of things to do today. but Flavora makes such good tobaccos. But a lot of that leathery note is a sought out thing to have in tobaccos, and they don't have it. I've tried their whole lineup. Not a one of them has that. So, and there's an Inawera Western that has it, but it also tastes like chocolate. What if I don't want leather and chocolate? What if I just want leather? Right. People say, "Oh, it's gross. Why would you want to vape leather?" For the same reason you want to walk into a leather store. You ever walked into a leather store?
Absolutely.
Didn't you love that experience?
I do.
The only thing,
I mean, people talk about that like you're saying, but we buy candles that have hints of leather in them because we like that smell.
Exactly. It's like aromatherapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be things that you want to eat or drink. It can also be places you want to go.
So if you could be put in a room with 3 people, like just people that you look up to, people that you want to meet, mixers, your heroes, living or dead, who would those people be?
Why are you going to ask me that? I don't know. I've met the mixers, and that was quite an experience. That was great. There's an author. His name is Christopher Moore. I think he's really hilarious. I don't know if he works really hard at his writing to make it that hilarious, or if he's genuinely that funny of a person in real life. I'd like to find out. Right. So that'd be one of them. My grandfather died in 2006. I'd like to resurrect him so I can have another sit down with him.
Who would you say has influenced you most as a mixer?
Who has influenced me the most? I want to say that it's a sort of a tie. Have you ever heard of Bot Boy?
Yes.
His recipes and techniques were a huge influence on me early on. I paid really close attention to what he was doing and how his flavors were working together. And he was kind of a mentor to me in that way. My very first sort of mentor type person was not Charles Manson.
Yep.
His recipe, he has a recipe called strawberry shortcake bar.
Right.
And strawberry shortcake bar, to me, it's been years now, but when he came out with it and I mixed it up, I don't really necessarily like it that much, but it tastes just like one of those strawberry shortcake bars. And I was like, holy crap. That sort of awakened to me the level of realism that's available in mixing if you really want to try to emulate something that's a food or beverage or whatever. So that makes him a huge early influence. I'd say even that was before Bot Boy and probably more than Bot Boy. Another one was a mixer called Philosophucker, who created Grack. And he sort of turned me on to how abstract you can get, how you don't have to be so trying to make a photocopy of something that actually exists. You could just go wild. You could be like Jackson Pollock. You don't have to be a photographer of flavor. You could be an artist. So that was really cool, and that really influenced me. The only other two that I could say come anywhere close to those three, Copel, because of his florals. He taught me how great floral flavors can be and that they aren't just like perfume or whatever.
Right.
And another one is Fear, because of the tobaccos. Because I tried a couple of tobaccos. When I first started vaping, I tried some. And then when I first started mixing, I tried to play with them again. And what I made was terrible. The stuff that I bought at the store when I first started vaping, they got me off the cigarettes. That's true. They kept me from buying that second pack of cigarettes, but they were pretty terrible, honestly. So he showed me what could be done with tobacco flavors, and that's it. Those are my mentors.
So, in your personal vaping, have you chosen to avoid like flavors that have dab or?
Oh, hell no. At one point, I broke the fever, I guess you could say, with some grapefruits that came out, and I started getting interested in those, and I guess the weather warmed up too, and discovered playing with coolants and stuff that I liked. But for a while there, I was almost certain that I was as addicted to DAP as I ever was to nicotine. And I don't. I looked at some of the data, but the bottom line is that I'm not smoking or dipping or using snus or whatever, and I'm cool with that. I'm not the least bit concerned about DAP. No.
Right, and I think I've come to the same conclusion. The worst that I could do in a vape juice is far better than I ever did with a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. Now I respect people's decision to not use that, but harm reduction is harm reduction. It's not harm elimination, and they can take that harm reduction as far as they want to. I've taken it as far as I want to, and that's at least we're all just not smoking. I hate seeing people argue about it. I hate seeing people tell people, oh, those V2 flavors are all nasty. You need to replace them with V1. DAP won't hurt you, and doing it in a disrespectful way.
Right.
Because there's just no reason. At least we're all not smoking together. But for me, no, give me some of that butter, man.
Absolutely. So how do you feel about the vape community as a whole? I mean, like you said, we kind of all come together to accomplish the same thing. It's kind of like a support system. I mean, you're making this new, and then when I try that, now I don't want to smoke anymore, or I'm not tempted to smoke because I want to vape this new tasty juice or whatever.
Yeah.
I think all that's
a beautiful thing, isn't it?
If more people was as helpful as the vape community is with each other.
Good Lord, can you imagine? I mean, we get our little spits and spats and have our little I mean, there's some egos. There's some egos involved in vaping, and I stay away from the whole vaping scene as a whole and just stay in my little mixing corner. But even there's some egos and people butt heads, and there's some rivalries, but for the most part, we come together really well, and we're always willing to help somebody who's just starting out. And that's a thing. I mean, I would never want someone to get to start mixing and have their first things that they mix together be terrible and decide, screw this, and juice is too expensive, I'm going back to smoking. I don't ever want to see that happen, so I'm always willing to help. And most people, I think, are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun.
It is.
And I like the way it bridges it bridges all the gaps. It's male dominated. Yeah, it's mostly white males, but it actually bridges all of the gender gaps, the sexual orientation gaps, the political gaps, the racial, international. There's huge communities of mixers all over the world, and we're all connected to them. Like, you can name, how many mixers do you know from how many other countries? And how many people did you know from other countries before you started mixing?
Right. Maybe one.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing that you have a friend in Australia now, don't you?
Oh, I do.
How about that? And South Africa too, probably.
Absolutely.
And maybe Europe, or at least Canada. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we can go both. I mean, Pippa's show in general, at any time, there's usually people from 4 different regions of the country on the show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Emily was on last week. She's in Canada. Pippa is in Australia. I'm in the United States. Liam and Darren Cole. I mean, he's in the UK.
Yeah.
We were all on the same show talking about the same stuff.
Pretty cool, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it. It's pretty cool.
That's great. So advocacy-wise, do you have any simple things that people can do? I mean, it seems like it's hard to get people to send an email or make a phone call. So I don't know what could be more simpler than that, but just something that people can do that maybe they may not have money to donate. A lot of people don't. But just something easy that people can do to help advocate for vaping.
If you can't donate, So we'll just leave that out. Just man, I don't know. I email and text and call my so-called representatives about all kinds of stuff all the time. And you shouldn't be shy about doing that because they work for you. It kind of irks me when I hear them called leaders because that's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be working for you, supposed to be representing you. So if they don't hear your voice, then they don't know that they're not representing you. And hold them to, and you have to vote too, because you have to hold them to account. The other thing is just don't be a dick while vaping. If you're going to be a dick, don't do it while you're vaping, right? Because that doesn't make us look good. You know, don't blow big clouds in people's faces right outside the restaurant, that sort of thing.
Where did ID10 come from?
It was a joke I was in the military, and we would tell new guys that they could get extra leave or various other perks and benefits, and all they had to do was go fill out an ID10-T form, and they would have to go ask, whatever person at whatever office if they could get them, and it was like snipe hunting. They'd go and ask, "Can I get an ID10-T form?" And the person would start laughing and look at them like they were stupid, and then ask them to write it down, and they'd write it down, and then they'd realize that they had been had, and it was all a big funny joke.
Right.
So I just wanted to be reminded of that funny joke every time I saw my name, and to remind myself not to do anything stupid.
All right. So you said that you was in the military. What branch?
I was in the Army.
Army. Well, thank you for your service.
Thanks. I didn't really get to do much service. I don't know. My mom likes to say God helped me or whatever because he knew I would have gotten myself killed. I don't believe that at all, but I managed to keep getting transferred to units that either had just gotten back I got transferred to units that had just gotten back from units that were just about to leave. So I'm really good at preparing for deployments. Right. But I never actually got sent anywhere. Except I kind of did because I was stationed upstate New York, and that's, I don't know where you're from, if it's cold or not, but or if you drive there on your travels.
I'm from a place that you talk about poorly all the time. That is Kentucky. Most of that I agree with. But no,
Kentucky.
I run back and forth between Chicago and Bristol, New Hampshire.
Well, Chicago,
about 50 miles north of Concord, New Hampshire.
Yeah, does it get pretty chilly up there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I arrived at Fort Drum, New York on the first day. It was 0. Few days before Christmas, and I'd never experienced that before, 0 degrees, and then it just got colder and colder, and the whole month of January it kept getting colder and colder and colder. I thought I was gonna die, and then I had a couple more winters of that. That was something else.
Okay, so you're in Texas, right?
I am from and in Texas currently.
You like tacos?
Love tacos. Tacos are probably my favorite food.
Okay. So from your favorite taco place, we won't ask for any names, but what would be your favorite order of tacos between pork, chicken, or beef?
Pork.
Pork?
So that's slow cooked pork. Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
What was I like second?
Beef.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of chicken in tacos. Or fish for that matter.
Right.
But any taco is better than no taco.
Oh.
Any taco is better than no taco. Except maybe like Taco Bell or something, but
yeah. Taco Bell has its place. 3 o'clock in the morning, fairly drunk.
Yeah, it fits that place.
I'm okay with Taco Bell then.
Cover up the taste of it with enough fire sauce, and it doesn't matter.
What advice would you have for a brand new mixer? Somebody just getting started.
Find some recipes that look good to you that appealed to you and mix those up instead of just trying to mix up single flavors by yourself or trying to just throw something together because you can get discouraged and waste your ingredients that way. Do test your flavors, do make your own stuff, but not right at first. Don't get too discouraged, keep at it, and don't be afraid to ask for help because there's, like we said, there's so many helpful people out there. I mean, they're fighting each other over how best to help you.
All right, Dave. So where can people find you, man?
You can find me on Facebook. I have 1,000 friends, and most of them are vaping friends. You can find me on all the flavors, which is probably the best way to do it at first, because you can see my recipes. You can send me a private message. You can find me on Reddit all the time. To go to DIY _ejuice in Reddit, and I'm one of the moderators there. You can contact me. You can send me a private message. A lot of people feel shy about sending people private messages. I think that's good. I think that's polite, but you don't need to worry about it with me. Just go right ahead. I'm also on like a dozen different Discord channels, including Pippa's channel, including the Mix and Vixens channel, including the DIY subreddit's own channel, Wayne's channel, of course, and like 5 or 6 others. So I'm really not hiding. You can find me pretty easy. And you can even comment on YouTube videos that I'm in, and there's a chance that I'll go back and see it, but that's not a very efficient way, but you can do that. Yeah, the only thing is that I don't have Instagram because I don't know why I would need that. Maybe I'm just old, but I just haven't figured out what the point of that would be. But I can't think of any of the other main ways of reaching out to people that you wouldn't be able to find me.
Well, that's plenty right there.
Leave me a real bad review. I'll find you real quick. No, just kidding. I love the honesty in reviews. And I love providing it to people too. Absolutely.
All right, Dave. Well, again, thanks for sitting down doing this, man. I appreciate it.
You can see me any Monday night at 10 o'clock Central on Wayne's DIY or Die vaping channel on YouTube. That's where we do the flavor reviews. It's not really geared well to new mixers because we're just talking about flavors. We're not getting into like early techniques or anything like that. But if you ask us a question, we'll try to answer it. And if you're already like sort of an intermediate level, that would be the perfect place for you to get good information about where to look for flavors. And if you're already better than I am, which most people are, it's a great place to be in the chat and BS and tell me how stupid I am. So fun times on Monday nights.
Absolutely.
Give you something to look forward to all day on Monday.
Right. That is such a great show. And you do learn a lot. There's a lot of times that I'll have to watch them twice. I listen to them once while I'm driving.
We go through them too fast sometimes.
Yeah. Well, when I get done, sometimes I'll go back and I'll take notes on what flavors Dave said that we don't need for sure.
Yeah. That's the main thing I think that anybody should be able to get out of that show. I wouldn't take my word for definitely buy this because everybody has their own preferences. But if I'm telling you that something is absolutely disgusting, you might not want to buy and try it.
Right. Well, and I find too, everybody's palate is different, but they're also similar. Certain people have similar taste as other people. So if I've tried a flavor, 2 or 3 flavors that you said were good, and I don't hate them, I'm more apt to listen to you when you say, don't buy this.
And that's why we have a panel, and you'll often notice that we have different opinions because we're dealing with 2 different issues. One, we're dealing with preferences, just a matter of personal preference. I might taste this, and it might taste exactly the same to me as it does to you, and you love it, and I hate it. So there's that, preferences. And then there's also sensitivities. There's aroma molecules in these flavors, and some people are more sensitive to other aroma molecules than others. And so you might taste this off note in a flavor that I don't even pick up at all, and it may make it terrible to you, and I might love it. So you can't just listen to what somebody else is saying without trying on your own. But we do try to help. We do try to at least like guide people away from things that there's a good chance that they'll not like, and toward things that taste like something that most people would enjoy.
Right. Right. Good deal.
And just describe them for you. It's up to you. If armpits sounds good to you, then go right ahead and vape yourself some armpits.
Or we could just all buy Delosi flavors because they are, for the most part,
and delightfully mediocre. At least you're not going to go wrong there.
That's it, man. Like I said, I appreciate you sitting down and doing this.
Of course, anytime. See you in the chats.
Oh, yeah.